everyone. So welcome back. In today's video, we're going to talk about some things that you need to be aware of when you join affair recovery groups. Some things that you need to look for, whereas if you're trying to heal, some stuff to stay away from, and some opinions to stay away from, and things like that. So hi, my name is Stacey, and I'm an infidelity coach. I help unfaithful women recover from having an affair, and I also work with couples who need help during that recovery stage of infidelity, because there is a recovery stage, and I help them work through the roadblocks and the fears and things like that. I also work with a betrayed spouse. I help them understand infidelity a little bit better and help them have a little bit more empathy so they can learn how to communicate with their spouse who had an affair, and the two of them can get on the same page. So if you would like more information about working with me one-on-one in private coaching, I will leave a link down below and you can sign up. I have a free 30-minute chat and we can discuss and see where you are, and we can see if we're a good fit together, and I can make an evaluation about your situation and we'll go from there. But don't forget to check the description box below, because all kinds of information will be linked down there for you guys. I have some free resources on my website and a course that will help you get through that very difficult stage of withdrawal, which is usually about 8 weeks after an affair ends. So, okay, let's get into today's video. All right, so this video for me is something that has been on my heart for a little while, because I have been a part of some affair recovery groups for a couple of years now, and I've been observing some things. I had a private Facebook group myself for women who had an affair, and I've been paying attention. I've been noticing some things, and there's some things that I really don't like about a group. So I want to share my opinions with you. Of course, this is just my opinions. This is just what I see. This is my experience. This is my best advice to you as a woman who was unfaithful, and as a couple who went through infidelity and went through recovery and came out on the other side. So there is another side to infidelity. There is the end of recovery. There is the place that you can get where your marriage is healed, it's whole, you're actually enjoying each other again. Both people feel at peace, there's no more trust issues, all of that is behind you. And then there's a place for the unfaithful spouse where they can get where their emotions are stable, they're not making decisions based on emotions, they're learning about their childhood wounds and they're healing those, they're taking responsibility, and they've just grown from infidelity. So there is a place that you can get to. And since my husband and I, and me personally, have gotten to this place, I've been noticing some things, and I think this video is very important for people who are just finding out about an affair, or you've actually been, D-Day is like 2 years ago and you're still struggling. Okay, so my first thing is I just want to tell you this. Look, let's just be honest. Society says that, okay, if your spouse cheats on you, then that's it, I'm done. Because there's an embarrassment for the betrayed spouse to stay with the unfaithful spouse. Okay, let's just get that out there. It's like, what are people going to say about me if I stay with my spouse? And I see that struggle. I see people actually, the betrayed spouse actually making excuses for why they decided to stay with their spouse. And I completely disagree with that. I believe that if you want to stay with your spouse, if your spouse, wants to reconcile, if you guys want to build your marriage and start over, you shouldn't have to make excuses for that. You have that ability. Marriages can be healed. Now, some marriages, I get it, they won't be healed. Some unfaithfuls won't grow, and they won't use infidelity as a way to, learn more about themselves and heal themselves. I get that. But there are people out there like myself and my husband and others that I've worked with who do want to grow and who do want to stay together. And I don't think you should feel shamed because you decide to stay with your spouse. So I kind of look at it like this a little bit. If you had a car and you got a nail in a tire, and it went flat, or it couldn't be repaired, would you get rid of the whole car, or would you just change the tire? You would just fix what was wrong. That's kind of how I look at infidelity. Usually when there is, an affair, when something has happened, it's usually because something is going on. There's a automatic program, some kind of childhood trauma that the unfaithful has been through. And that's why they have responded. They may not even realize that. A lot of women that I work with, and myself included, didn't even realize this was going on in the back of my mind and in my subconscious of why I was responding to our marriage when it went through a hard time this way, in maybe passive aggressive behavior. But if you're in a group and you say you are a betrayed spouse and you post something about your wife or your husband and you want to reconcile and you're asking for help, I've seen lots of questions. I've seen questions like that, but lots of bashing where they might come back and say, well, you know what, if your wife cheated, she's going to do it again, she hasn't stopped, I wouldn't trust her, don't do this. There's a lot of bitter advice being given in these groups from people who are hurt, which is understandable. I get that. I understand people are hurt. I've been on the receiving end of infidelity myself, so I know what it feels like to be cheated on. But my whole goal is all of this advice that is negative, that is bitter and resentment, and does not have the full knowledge of what the truth is about infidelity and an unfaithful spouse. It's going to hurt you in a way where you're not going to want to step forward and stay with your spouse. You're not even going to want to try. And I think that's completely wrong. I think you should be careful what kind of advice you take in and who you take in advice from. If you want to recover with your partner, if you want to restore your marriage, then seek out people who have been through it and have survived, where they are no longer bitter, their spouse is no longer having an affair, their spouse has grown from it, both parties have grown from it. Seek those types of people out for advice because they have been through it. So they know the fear, they know the roadblocks, they know the pitfalls, they know the behind the scenes of what's really going on inside of the unfaithful. People don't always just wake up one day and say, oh my gosh, I just want to have an affair and I'm just going to go and hurt you purposely. That's not always the case. So find those people. Surround yourself with people who are better and not bitter. Don't surround yourself with bitter people when you are trying to recover from infidelity. That goes for the wayward spouse, that goes for the betrayed spouse. If you want to save your marriage, get with people who have done it, know what's going on, know how to help you heal, know how to help you move forward, help you work through the anger and the bitterness, because anger and bitterness will come up. That's just the nature of the game. Infidelity is a beast and it's destructive and it will cause anger and bitterness, but you can get past that. You don't have to stay angry and you don't have to stay bitter with the person who had an affair. So that is extremely important to be careful for when you are in these groups, is watch out of the advice that you're hearing. Watch what you're hearing, because if you continue to stay with people who are bitter, then you're going to become bitter and you're not even going to give your marriage a chance. I think about if my husband wouldn't have given me a chance, then we wouldn't have our third child. She wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in this place in my life where I learned so much about myself. I learned, what was wrong and how to get better. And I allow God to work with me because I didn't want to be that person anymore who responded to hard times that way. So be very careful. And like I said in the beginning of the video, if you need help, all you have to do is sign up with me. I would be glad to help you and take you through those stages and show you what you need to do, because I've done it already. I've been there and I came out recovered. I'm no longer holding anger, or I'm no longer wanting my affair partner. It's good now. So those are some things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm looking at my notes here, and I want to let you know, if you're wondering, how can I tell if, I should reconcile? One of the ways you can tell is that if your spouse is willing to do what you need them to do, if they are willing to follow a no trust plan, if they are willing to work on themselves, and you want to have patience with them, because when an unfaithful person actually has an affair, they don't have a lot of self-awareness. They don't really know why they're doing what they're doing. So they're not always going to come to you and say, oh my gosh, I messed up and it's my fault. They might still be in the blame game in the beginning, and that, you want to have patience with them while they work through that as well. But you both want to create a safe environment for each of you to grow and have that opportunity. And that is if you want, your marriage to work. Now, as for therapists, I would be careful for those as well, because, they have people who are bitter, who have experienced infidelity, but they also have therapists who are not trained, and, they really can't tell you how to get through it. They really don't know some of the things that is not said publicly about how to heal from infidelity. They just don't know those things, and that's okay. So you want to find a therapist or a coach who is familiar firsthand, who has been down in the pits of it and know what's what. So that's my thoughts on groups and therapy, and I just hope you be very careful with who you're taking advice from, what you're listening to, because if you're trying to recover, this is an important time to really, cover your marriage, cover your spouse. You go into each other and God together, and let the Lord tell you how, what areas. Let Him reveal to you what areas. Don't go looking for people who are bitter. Remember, we want to go with people who are better, not bitter. Okay, so if you have any questions, leave them down below, and I hope you found this video helpful. And as always, feel free to email me. I love hearing from you guys, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.